Hello, Gülşah. How are you?
Hello, Beril. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So today we will discuss about flipped classroom and whether it's beneficial for online teaching and learning or not. First of all, I want to explain a little bit what is traditional classroom and flipped classroom. So normally in the traditional classroom procedure, we listen to the lessons, we take notes, and so we understand and remember the information which were given to us during the classroom in the lecture. Then as a homework, we try to create something with the knowledge we have, and we try to apply those knowledge. So the teacher is with the learners during the lower thinking skills, such as which are remembering and understanding. But the flipped classroom procedure is a little bit different from that. The teacher not with the learners during the remembering and understanding process. In the flipped classroom, you deliver the instructional content beforehand, before the classroom, and mostly you receive it online. And in the classroom, learners start to engage with cooperative and problem-solving tasks. So with the guidance, the instructor. So in this case, the responsibility shifts to the students. It's a student-centered approach. I mean, it doesn't mean that the teacher doesn't have a role. They still have a role, but they are not the main characters in here. Rather, they are facilitating and they become a guidance in the flipped classroom. Do you think, can we achieve the flipped classroom in Turkey's educational context? Do you think it will be easy to do that?
I think it will be not easy in the beginning, but after a while, all students and teachers can get the knowledge and awareness of the flipped classroom, and they get used to do these tools. And after that, in Turkey circumstances, as you know, there are some actually, I want to say turmoils, for example, and there is no internet connection somewhere, and even without online education, teachers cannot imagine processing the lecture without a book, without course book. So that for all these things to happen, actually, first of all, every student, every classroom environment in Turkey should be equal. After that, it can be a cure, and also there are some kind of different high schools and elementary schools, as you know. For example, I share with this video with my cousin, and she's a job high school, whatever say, I don't know. And they don't really interesting on the English, and they don't want to learn English. They just being there because of the absenteeism and because of the just getting a score from lessons. And so applying this application, this flipped classroom, students' interestings are really important, because without interesting something, without encouraging something, learning second language can't be a cure, can't be a prior, actually.
Yeah.
What do you think think about it?
I completely agree with you. Yeah. And I also want to add something else about this, about the thing whether it is easy to implement the flipped classroom in the Turkish context. So we may face some challenges because in Turkey we are used to more structured education system. I mean, the teacher giving you all of the information. He or she says the learner about their roles and responsibilities beforehand. So, so this is why it may be challenging because we are not used to create our own learning system as learners. Because at this point, in the flipped classroom, students need to play their roles. They need to do their jobs. They need to study, read, and research about the content. So they shouldn't expect everything from the teacher himself or herself. Otherwise, it won't be beneficial at all.
Also, I want to add something to your thoughts. As you know, our primary school, elementary school, and high school, we are getting the desk and we just listen our teacher, and teacher says something, and we cannot criticize it. We just take it from our thoughts, and they are bounded each other. Every kind of education system in Turkey appears it, and also I want to say that in university, actually, professor says that you need to read this article and criticize it, and after that, please read an essay about it. We just stuck in that because we haven't seen actually kind of education system.
Yeah, we weren't used to that.
And in the beginning, it was really hard for me because we are not accustomed to it, actually.
Yeah, we are not accustomed to it, and it's not easy to do this kind of thing immediately. But still, I think we should use this kind of different approaches because the flipped classroom, I think, helps to encourage engagement and interaction between the learners. I mean, you don't just wait for the teacher to say everything to you.
Yeah.
You try to do something about your own learning. So I want to ask you, do you think is it beneficial, the flipped classroom?
Yes, because I have said already, we are accustomed to staying there and listening, sometimes fake listening, and without doing nothing actually, and learner cannot be learner, and flipped classroom environments provides us actually solving some kind of problems. And
Yeah.
teacher, at the beginning of the topic actually, teacher says that you will be there in the after a 4 or 5 lesson after, and but in the beginning, being at the 5 section actually, and just appearing the problem solving skills, and it developed problem solving skills actually for me too. It's really beneficial for me, and thinking about these thoughts, these ideas, it's really really will be beneficial all kind of students, because they don't they actually don't learn for solving problems. They don't learn for improve themselves. They learn just because they pass the exams actually. For me, yeah, so that if you ask me to this flip classroom and beneficial or not, it is really beneficial because it gain some it may gain students to some develop or gain or develop some kind of skills. It's my thought.
And also, do you think is it beneficial also for online teaching and learning?
Yeah, because there are so many tools in the internet and online education. Because in the formal education, you have got just one course book or just one source of the lesson. But online education provides too many sources from internet, visual and audio, every kind of.
And I think the same. I think the flipped classroom is really beneficial because in the lessons, students won't have only one person to discuss to discuss something about during the lessons. I mean, with the instructor. Rather, they will have a chance to discuss with everyone in the classroom in a effective learning community, and they won't have to listen long hour lessons, but they will have more time to discuss, solve problems, and act collaboratively. So it gives us a chance to a better time management as well while you're discussing something. And for the online education, the flipped classroom may be great for the online teaching because since you're not face to face with your learners, so you may not want to talk about the content in a Zoom session only by yourself. I mean, it may be boring for the teacher as well. So think about you are not interacting with your learners about 40 or 50 minutes in a lesson, in a Zoom session. It's boring. I mean, but with the flipped classroom, you can do more discussion with your learners about the content with using breakout rooms. So yeah, it's more beneficial for online teaching and learning as well, I think. But there may be some challenges too. Can you think about any challenges about flipped classroom?
Yes, maybe the sources from the online environments could be not suitable for every level of students, and it can be hard for students actually. And another disadvantages, we want to add something.
Yeah, the sources are really important, and untrained instructors and poor video quality maybe can reduce the effectiveness of the approach, because for the flipped classroom we need to consider details like what activities should be used, what tools should we use, and if materials and activities are poorly designed, it loses its effectiveness, it loses its purpose. So the teachers also need to improve themselves about how to use technological devices effectively, and also how to implement them with the correct and efficient activities for online teaching. So becoming a digital teacher also plays a big role in here, actually.
I want to add something. For example, you're talking grammar to your student, but based on your resource of lesson book, and you gave your students basic vocabularies about the, for example, present simple tense or wildlife topic. But you want to make some kind of exercise from online, and you realize there's a digital ebook, and you find it and with the same topic wildlife, but your students could be your students cannot be know these lectures, these sources, know vocabularies also.
Vocabularies.
And they make them actually more upset and feel not encouraged about it, and it can be decrease their motivation.
Motivation, yeah, and motivation is really important while we are creating a flipped classroom environment, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is possible. So I want to say that the learning activities of flipped language classroom consist of pre-class, during class, and after class activities. So while designing those kind of activities, which kind of tools we can use for the flipped classroom? Do you have an idea for that? Some specific
yes. For example, your syllabus says that you need to teach your students in this week what it can be, articles actually, for example, and you need to give what should they know about articles, and you can give their students sources from the internet where they can teach themselves and where they can study from, and it can be called do you know
what is it?
Pre-lesson, say that actually, right? During lesson, after
Pre-class. Pre-class, during class, and after class.
Okay, you need to give some details about it. What is the articles? Yeah. And for example, you can find an activity from the internet, and you can share with the students. For example, a kind of reading the newspaper, and you can say students, you should read this news, and you should take notes about articles, how they can use, where they can use, and after that you can make a kind of group activities during the lessons. And after the lessons, you can make your homework about the articles. You can write the essay, and I can, after that, give your feedbacks.
Yeah, and also feedback is really important for the flipped classroom. I want to give a couple of examples for flipped classroom tools. For example, as a pre-class activity, we can use video watching tools like TED Talks.
Yes.
We use TED Talks a lot, actually. Yes. Do you remember? Yeah. And also video record lectures, documentaries, or even movies. And also, while we were in the second grade or third grade, I don't remember very well, but with Gökhan Hoca, I guess, we watched an episode of Black Mirror. I don't
Mhm.
remember the name of the episode, but we watched the Black Mirror episode, and in the classroom we discussed about it. So beforehand we watched it and then discussed. And I think it was really fun to do this kind of things because you are
It was really interesting for us.
yeah
What
interesting.
we gonna watch some kind of TV series, and this is our homework, really?
Yes, it was something we like. It,
Yeah.
it's and we're curious about. So I think that using these kind of tools are really, really beneficial and effective for the learners.
Mhm.
And also for online learning platforms, we can make it Telegram uh,
Yeah.
or Udemy courses. I don't know, maybe. Uh, for reading, as you said, we can use some articles, short stories. They are also
Mhm.
really interesting, or maybe blogs and some kind of links. And while making a video, we can use PowerPoint, um, how to, we also use that
Mhm.
Tunceroja. Uh,
Mhm.
and something is really popular, which is online quizzes such as Quizlet and Kahoot.
Mhm.
Even the traditional classrooms, we make use of these kind of online quizzes a lot because they are interesting and intriguing.
Race environment always increase their motivation, actually.
Yeah, they are really effective for enhancing the motivation.
Mhm.
Um, Another question. Um, what do you think about the effects of flipped classroom? I mean, for the
Sorry?
learners. What are the effects of flipped classroom? For example, for the learners.
Effects. Actually, as you know, online education, it's kind of nervous thing for me, and opening the webcams and standing on the laptop.
Yeah.
But it can be affect students good side and bad side, maybe.
Yeah.
It changes to student actually. But think a platform which includes every kind of sources and visual, audio, and every kind of writing things, every kind of videos, and everything is on that, so that actually it will be affect more um, beneficial students, because if they can don't understand the lesson, you can get another source from the internet, and they can get studied from there, and it affects good side. And for example, students who they don't have um, actually really interest on the laptop, really interest on the um, social environment or digital environment,
Yeah.
they feel them like studying just be on real book and real notebook. For example, I feel myself like this because while I'm reading these articles, I feel like I'm not studying now. I'm just reading something because I haven't got any
You
source in real
prefer
my
you
hand.
prefer some
Yeah,
real book.
yeah.
I
It
used to I used to feel like you. I used to prefer uh, the real book as well, but now I am comfortable with the online books. I don't know why. Maybe I just got used to the idea of using it.
because after a while we have to do that actually, because uh, you have got this now, and you need to handle with it, and you haven't got any chance. Of course, you can print it beside, but
But we don't bother to print it.
these effects may be occur. Did you ask for just learners or teachers as well?
Yeah, you can say for the teachers as well.
As you said, there's bad effect for the teachers and who they are not efficient for the using digital environment, laptop, computer, or kind of things. And we have already faced with it, or so in the beginning of the online education, some of our teachers couldn't make something about the application.
Yeah.
And it can affect badly, but after a while, everyone can solve it, and it can be processed good actually.
And also, I think we have to solve this problem because we are in a digital environment now.
There is another chance if you had, okay, but there is not another chance. Yes, you have to accustom it and you have to solve this problem.
Yeah, you have to improve your skills about it.
Yes.
I also want to share my ideas with you about the effects of flipped classroom. So, as I said, it is student-centered and they have the content beforehand and discuss in the during the classroom hours. And if learners really engage with the process, I think it helps them to become more confident and autonomous and self-regulated. And they will be more motivated and they can feel the satisfaction about their learning because they will be the ones who at the center of the learning community, their own learning. So they will become more invested about it. But of course, in order to achieve these kind of things, this kind of concepts, they need to fulfill their responsibilities. They need to do their jobs about this, or else, yeah, it won't be effective. But if they do that, their learning will be more valuable and more meaningful for them because they will be the ones who are creating something with the language, with the knowledge they have received, and with the technology. And also, I think that using flipped classroom may be beneficial for acceptance of the technology. I mean, we may get used to the technological tools with the flipped classroom. Do you agree with me or not? I don't know, but
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you because of my laptop.
I think with the flipped classroom, learners can also get used to the technology. So the online learning is that, I guess. Do you agree with me?
Yes, because it is obligatory actually. And we are also learning creatures for solving something, and it has to be actually in this environment because without digital platforms now we cannot get any kind of education.
Yes.
As you know, there is not any kind of formal education now because of the pandemic. So it is also feature tools are computers and smartphones and internet actually, so that solving this and being interested with these, it's really beneficial for students. and it also helps to students access any kind of information. Of course, they should be a kind of observation and by parents, and
Yeah.
because there's any kind of information and they can sometimes
There is
that
an
are wrong.
there's an information pollution in the
Yeah.
internet.
Yes.
So yeah, with the flipped classroom may be it may be beneficial for acceptance of technology. So we have lots of difficulties about adapting the online learning process, and especially in Turkey, by the way, because we are used to the face-to-face education, and it was a challenging process for all to get used to the online education. But if we gain familiarity with in terms of technological devices during the flipped classroom, I think it may be easier to adapt the distance learning process, because
Yes.
yeah, the more we use these kind of tools, the more we become competent and familiar with it. So at some point, the digital environment won't bother us, and
Yeah.
we become more effective while using it, and so the lessons will be more fun and active and efficient. So we begin to feel present, actually, and more engaged with the online learning environment.
Yes. Time is really develop us, and really because you are exposed to every day to this, and
Yeah.
at the same time you need to learn them because you need to get some education from digital world, so that after a while I think really uh, every student can be managed.
Yeah, I agree with you. We need to get used to this, because even in the face-to-face education, we use lots of technological tools,
Yes.
and we will be using more in the future, I guess. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So the flipped classroom mostly used in uh, to teach second or foreign language. Why do you think it is like that? I mean,
Actually, everybody has own reason because, for example, we are at the education faculty, but our faculty is closed. So because of the pandemic, we have to use it. But if we think about it, there's no pandemic environment, and what people use this digital environment for learning second language actually. For example, I'm living in the Spain, and I want to take lessons from native teachers, but I haven't got any kind of what can I say, source and to take lessons from native language, uh, from native teachers. So what can I do? I can search about digital environment, second language learning and teaching forms actually, or kind of courses. And
yeah, you
there,
can find flipped classroom courses, I guess,
yes,
in the internet.
yes. I also there is kind of so many courses um, interacted with their levels, and they they start with the lessons with, for example, A1 lesson, A1 to C2 actually, and after that you can kind of certificate also. And while you are living in Spain, you can meet a foreign teacher, you can meet foreign friends, and to able to speak actually,
Yeah.
and improve your
Language.
speaking.
Speaking.
Yes, for that, actually, so many people use this in the worldwide actually.
And I think, thank you for your answer, by the way. And I think they use flipped classroom mostly for second or foreign language uh, because because of the need for the use the language itself. So as we discussed last week, the engagement is also crucial for, especially crucial for language learning, because you need to use the language itself. It's because it's important, um, learning by doing. And therefore, with the help of flipped classroom, you can have more discussions, more pair and group work. Basically, the learners will become active learners rather than being passive. So they will be more engaged with a student-centered approach. And if we link this to the online education, it has more benefits because in online environment we mostly fear the lack of participation and cognitive engagement. But with the active discussions and flipped classroom, we may overcome this issue. Because at this point, the instructors will give a chance for the learners to speak, to discuss, and use the actual language itself.
Yes.
Also,
I want to add something. Flipped classrooms are beneficial and they're using worldwide because exposure and obligatory for speaking and making something and resolving something. It's important for learning a second language. So that flipped classrooms are really useful for them for production actually.
Yeah, exactly, because in the flipped classroom you have to think critically. You have to try to solve the problems, and as you said, it will affect the productivity in a good way. But also I want to ask you that, as I said, it's a student-centered approach. So basically it is about the learners. But what are the instructors' roles in here in the flipped classroom?
As you already said that flipped classroom doesn't mean that teachers do not do something, and of course instructors have responsibilities for this environment, because while instructor make an kind of project for them, and they try to figure out how it can be possible, how we can manage it, how can we use, or what kind of approaches can be used. Students always asking kind of things, and lecturer can show the way actually how they can use. Yes, how can they manage with this lecture, how they can, what can they use for this lesson, what kind of tools they can use, and what can they read, and how they can be more productive. Or I think teachers have really important role in this environment because students are kind of less aware about this environment, but with the help of the teacher, actually they can be more aware. They can develop their skills with the process, and teachers should be guide for them so that they can develop every kind of second language education skills actually.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So basically, the role of the instructor is to become a guidance and a facilitator for the learners, and they they should ask critical questions during the lessons.
Yeah.
In order to, they shouldn't ask yes or no questions. They should ask something like
Why?
yeah, for learners to actually think about and actually to discuss about questions like that. And as we discussed, also motivating the learners is important, and feedback is crucial for students' performance. Yeah, the basic role is being a guidance and a facilitator. The teacher needs to show the way to the learners. And it's not a dominant character in here, but he or she needs to guide them during the learning process.
Yes, whenever students have him or her, he he's been there, and students, I don't know, just being aware of that, it's kind of comfortable, makes them comfortable, maybe.
Yeah. Uh, Also, while implementing the flipped classroom, teachers may face with some challenges. I will comment on it, but do you think about any kind of challenge?
While flip classroom environment.
Yeah, for example, the teacher may have some potential challenge about actually the students may face with some challenges during flipped learning and teaching, and the teacher should be aware about these challenges, or else he or she cannot find relevant and effective solutions for the problems. If the teacher cannot find effective and relevant solutions, the students may feel that they can lose their trust to their teacher, and they can lose their motivation.
Yeah.
And the participation may be decreased.
So can we say that teacher need to be fulfilled about the lesson?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, about the lesson, about choosing the right content and activities and etc. Everything.
Everything should be proper for students' levels and their interest actually.
And also, while creating the discussion environment in the classroom, the teacher should create a friendly and safe learning environment.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we both would want something like that, right?
Because can I say?
Yeah.
Because kind of bad weather, and they say kind of there is a rainy and cloudy environment in the classroom, it makes them afraid from the teacher. There is no kind of beneficial actually. Afraid from the teachers, decrease students' motivation, decrease
exactly
students' interest about the lesson. But if you will be more friendly for your students, actually, they can be more encouraged for the lesson. And students also, there's kind of age who they're in the beginning and elementary schools, interaction with them and knowing with how interaction with them is really important, because their age really important, and because of the distraction things and bad behaviors can decrease their really interest, and they can be occurs kind of traumatic memories actually.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the creating friendly and safe learning environment is crucial. Otherwise, the discussion may not meet its purposes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it won't be healthy environment. And also, teachers need to have strategies about how to actively monitor students' progress during this process, especially for online education. Because, you know, it is different in online education, monitoring students. And so the teachers need to give extra time to create or design online learning materials and to support their learners, because the independent learning may not be easy for the students, especially for online education.
Yeah.
So they need their teacher guidance with the use of effective tools, and also with lots of feedbacks. So yeah, this is monitoring students and using the effective tools is really important, I guess.
Yes. Yes, I strongly agree with you, and giving feedbacks is so important for students, because students cannot be aware of what is the lack of them and what is the wrong of them, and they can learn the wrong way and it can be permanent for them. So that
Exactly.
feedback is really important.
Yeah, I would want lots of feedbacks from my teacher about am I good about a specific topic? What kind of things should I improve about myself? And something like that. The feedback is really important, and we need to give the feedback in a positive way,
Yes.
not with
Without,
hurting the children
yes,
of the learners.
and their feelings.
Yeah, it's really important in order to create a good connection with the teacher and the learners. So I have one last question.
Yeah.
Would you use the flipped classroom in your career in the future?
Of course, because the process needed that, because as you know, because of the coronavirus, we have to use this as a student, but um, after a year we are graduating, and we maybe have to use this digital environment. And also flip classroom is really beneficial for students to develop kind of skills, and I want to make them to um, accustomed, because um, without criticize something, without solving problems, students cannot reach their aims. For that, students should learn how they manage with all kinds of problems, and they should learn what if uh, do if I do that. Actually, they can ask their themselves these kind of questions, and they don't accustomed to learn just listening and just watching and just looking at their teachers, and they need to be researchers actually, and they have kind of actually, you know, responsibilities. This is very important for me, and students should aware of that they have responsibilities, and this is not their teachers responsibility. Of course teachers has kind of responsibility, but learning it's actually 90% of students, and so that
I agree with you.
with the
It's
help
more
of
about
this,
the learners.
yes, do you think that with the help of this flip classroom environment, this responsibility can be increased actually to students?
Yeah, I completely agree with it, because you are giving the responsibility to the learners, and if they don't fulfill their responsibilities, actually they won't be able to learn anything. They won't be able to produce something.
Yes.
So yeah.
And
Mhm.
also being aware to they have learned something actually, it is also important, because without awareness about the learning language, and it's kind of not effective for students, and they have to learn, they have to show how they can learn this language actually, so that they should speak and they should product something. So with the help of these, student can be aware of the responsibilities actually.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I also want to use this flipped classroom in my future career.
Mhm.
As I mentioned, it is a little bit harder to do this in Turkish educational context, but I think we have to start to use something like this. We have to give roles to the learners, give them responsibilities, because flipped classroom is good for understanding their responsibility. It is good for, as you said, researching, doing a research, and also producing something active. It's good for cognitive engagement.
Mhm.
So yeah, I really want to use this approach in my lessons as well. But as I said, students should be aware about their roles during this process.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the flipped classroom would lose its effectiveness in this context. So actually, I want to make a conclusion about what we have discussed. Uh, do you want to add something else before the conclusion?
Yeah, actually, we have talked about every kind of
Yeah.
features for classroom.
Okay. So the flipped classroom is a teaching which is dynamic. Uh,
Mhm.
it has a good potential for both teachers and learners, especially for online teaching and learning,
Mhm.
because with the help of it, a teacher can actually make his or her learners active participants, rather feeling that recording a video while presenting some specific content to the learners, to the students. You can use the benefits of the technology and create an environment which includes lots of discussion activities and group works in online teaching as well.
Mhm.
So we need to start to use beneficial sides of the technology in the classroom. because we are in an era that is really engaged with the technology itself. So yeah, as teachers, we need to improve ourselves in terms of becoming a digital teacher with using this kind of tools. And we should try some approaches like flipped classroom, which are integrated with the use of technology. So we can enhance the quality of education in the online education as well, with the internet and educational tools, basically with the technology itself. I mean, it depends on us. So yeah, the flipped classroom may be a good step for doing this, for the yeah, improving ourselves about technological devices and stuff for online learning. So thank you for discussing with me about flipped classroom.
Thank you too.
I'm stopping the recording right now.
Okay.
See you.
See you.